Everything you have in your life right now, everything you will ever have, begins first in the mind. What you think about consistently, you move toward. What you hold in your mind, whether it's success or failure, confidence or doubt, inevitably becomes the direction of your life. The mind is the starting point of all creation, and your thoughts are the blueprints of your destiny. If you think in terms of abundance, opportunity, and growth, you'll see them everywhere. But if you think in terms of limitation, fear, and lack, that's exactly what your life will mirror back to you. You are not shaped primarily by your circumstances, but by the way you interpret them, by the thoughts you allow to occupy your mental space every single day. Every achievement in history, every great invention, every remarkable success began as a simple thought in someone's mind. The person who believes they can achieve something, even when the odds are against them, has already won half the battle. They have aligned their thinking with their goals, and in doing so, they have set the invisible forces of their mind to work for them. But most people live reactively. They allow outside events to dictate their moods, their attitudes, and eventually their destiny. They think small because they've been conditioned to do so. They underestimate the quiet power of thought, not realizing that their lives are built, piece by piece, from the very ideas they entertain most often. To change your life, you must begin by changing your thoughts. Begin each day with a vision of what you wish to become and hold that image in your mind as though it were already true. When you do this long enough, something remarkable happens. You begin to act, speak, and decide in alignment with that vision. Slowly, the outside world adjusts to match the picture within. Your mind is a fertile field. Whatever you plant, whether it be weeds or flowers, will grow. If you sow seeds of fear, doubt, and negativity, that's what will flourish. But if you sow faith, gratitude, discipline, and courage, those qualities will yield a harvest of success. You cannot plant one kind of thought and expect another kind of result. The law is absolute. You become what you think about. Success, then, is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It belongs to the person who learns to control and direct their thoughts. It belongs to the individual who understands that achievement is not something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become. And you become that person through the steady, deliberate shaping of your mind. If you wish to rise higher, think higher. If you wish to live better, think better. The world outside is simply a reflection of the world within. Everything that exists in your life today is a direct result of the thoughts that have occupied your mind. The house you live in, the job you hold, the relationships you build, the habits you maintain, all began with a single thought. Your life is nothing more than the reflection of what you have chosen to think about most often. Every great success, every invention, every dream fulfilled started as an invisible idea in someone's mind. Thought is the origin of all achievement, and it operates as the silent architect of destiny. The truth is, your outer world will always mirror your inner world. What you continually think about, believe in, and expect will shape your actions, decisions, and the quality of your life. If you see yourself as capable, confident, and worthy of success, your thoughts will naturally lead you to behave in ways that align with that belief. You will act decisively, take bold steps, and attract opportunities that reflect your self-image. But if you see yourself as limited, unlucky, or unworthy, the same law applies. You'll unconsciously sabotage your potential, avoid risk, and accept less than you deserve. Your mind becomes the filter through which you interpret life, and that filter determines how high or how low you rise. The remarkable truth is that your mind doesn't care what you choose to think. It simply responds. It will work just as hard to make failure real as it will to make success real. The mind has no moral compass of its own. It follows the direction you give it. When you think consistently of success, abundance, and purpose, your subconscious begins to align your behavior with those thoughts. You notice opportunities others overlook. You make choices that move you forward. You feel drawn to the people, ideas, and situations that bring your goals to life. When your thinking is negative, fearful, or doubtful, the same process works in reverse. You miss chances, shrink from challenges, and build barriers that keep success out of reach. This is why controlling your thoughts is the most powerful skill you can develop. Your life will not change by accident. It changes when your thoughts change. Each time you catch yourself dwelling on worry, scarcity, or defeat, you are programming your future to match those ideas. But when you focus your mind on growth, confidence, and gratitude, you set in motion a different chain of events, one that pulls you toward success instead of struggle. The secret is not to wait for conditions to be perfect, but to begin shaping your thinking now, regardless of your present circumstances. You can choose at any moment to think like the person you wish to become. Begin to imagine yourself living the life you desire. Speak and act in harmony with that vision. When you do this consistently, your mind accepts that image as reality and begins to search for ways to make it so. You will find yourself drawn to new opportunities, making better decisions, and taking inspired actions that align with your desired outcome. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain ordinary is not luck or talent, but mental direction. The mind is a tool more powerful than any force on earth. It can build empires or destroy dreams depending on how it is used. The thoughts you allow to occupy your consciousness today will build the foundation of your tomorrow. Think thoughts of courage when you feel fear. Think thoughts of success when you face challenge. Think thoughts of gratitude when life seems unfair. You cannot think failure and expect success. You cannot think lack and expect abundance. The law is absolute. You become what you think about most of the time. Guard your mind, direct it, and use it wisely. Because everything in your future begins with the way you think right now. You attract into your life what you constantly believe to be true. Every person walks through life surrounded by a magnetic field of thought, and this field draws to them whatever is most consistent with their dominant beliefs. If you think in terms of confidence, purpose, and possibility, you will see evidence of those qualities in your experiences. If you think in terms of limitation, failure, or fear, you will unknowingly create circumstances that reflect those beliefs. You cannot escape the law that your thoughts attract their own kind. The person who expects success prepares their mind to receive it, while the one who expects disappointment prepares for defeat long before it arrives. Belief is the foundation of every achievement. It shapes not only how you see the world, but how you act within it. A person who believes that opportunities are abundant takes initiative, sees potential in challenges, and keeps moving forward even when results are slow. Their faith becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because their consistent positive expectation leads to effort, perseverance, and resilience. On the other hand, someone who doubts their abilities hesitates, second guesses, and retreats at the first sign of difficulty. Their lack of belief limits their behavior, and their limited behavior reinforces their doubt. Both people are right in their own way, because life always mirrors the strength of one's inner conviction. Belief acts as a filter for perception. Two people can face the same event, yet one sees a stepping stone while the other sees a wall. The difference is not in the event itself, but in the interpretation shaped by belief. Those who train their minds to see potential where others see failure create paths where none appear. They believe deeply that the right solution exists, and because of that belief, they persist until they find it. The world responds to those who act with certainty, for certainty carries a quiet power that influences people, situation, even timing. When you believe you are capable, doors open that would otherwise remain hidden. To attract success, your thoughts and emotions must work in harmony with your goals. You cannot think poverty and attract prosperity, just as you cannot dwell on fear and attract confidence. Your internal frequency must match the result you seek. This is not magic. It is the natural consequence of alignment between mind and action. When your thoughts are filled with faith and vision, your behavior unconsciously begins to express those same qualities. You make choices that bring you closer to your desired outcome, and those choices compound over time into achievement. Every belief, no matter how small, carries creative power. The person who believes they can improve begins to learn, to experiment, to seek better ways of living. The person who believes they are trapped accepts stagnation as fate. Both attract conditions that prove them right. You are not a victim of chance. You are the product of your most consistent mental images. The thoughts you allow to dominate your consciousness shape your expectations, and your expectations quietly sculpt your destiny. When you fill your mind with belief in your own potential, life begins to rearrange itself in your favor. People are drawn to you because belief radiates confidence. Challenges appear smaller because belief magnifies your inner strength. Progress seems natural because your expectations are already aligned with success. Even setbacks become fuel, for you understand they are temporary tests of persistence, not permanent barriers. The stronger your belief, the faster you recover, and the more momentum you build. To attract what you truly desire, you must first believe it is possible for you. Believe it so deeply that doubt cannot take root. Feed that belief daily through your thoughts, your words, and your imagination. Your mind will respond by seeking proof of what you believe, and that proof will grow into results that others may call luck or talent, but are, in truth, the visible evidence of invisible conviction. Circumstances are the shadows of thoughts. Every condition, every situation, every event that unfolds in a person's life is a direct outgrowth of the ideas and attitudes they have nurtured in their mind. The outer world is never the cause of a person's experience. It is merely the reflection of their inner state. When the mind is filled with fear, confusion, and doubt, life responds with uncertainty, setbacks, and lack. But when the mind is trained to hold thoughts of courage, faith, and purpose, the same world presents opportunity, direction, and growth. The difference lies not in the external world, but in the mental lens through which it is seen. Many people believe that success or failure depends on luck, fate, or the decisions of others, yet those are only reflections of deeper mental patterns. A person who constantly sees themselves as a victim of circumstance will always find proof of that belief. They will attract people and situations that reinforce their sense of powerlessness. On the other hand, one who believes they have control over their thoughts and attitudes will begin to notice possibilities others overlook. The way they interpret each event becomes constructive rather than destructive, and as a result, their life naturally takes on a different shape. Circumstances bend to the strength of one's thinking, because thought is the first cause of everything that follows. When you begin to take control of your inner world, your outer world starts to shift. You cannot maintain thoughts of success and continue living in the same conditions that failure produces. Your habits, decisions, and actions evolve to match your thinking. A person who sees themselves as capable and deserving begins to act that way, and the universe responds in kind. Their posture changes, their confidence grows, their speech becomes purposeful, and people treat them accordingly. Without even realizing it, they attract circumstances that match the new vibration of their mind. It is a silent but powerful transformation, and it begins the moment you decide to govern your thoughts rather than be governed by them. Negative circumstances do not disappear immediately when you change your thinking, but they begin to lose power. The storms of life still come, but your mind becomes steady, and in that steadiness, you discover the strength to navigate through them. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intelligently. Instead of being tossed by every wave, you learn to steer your ship toward calmer waters. Eventually, the quality of your thoughts reshapes the quality of your life, and what once seemed like chaos becomes a series of lessons leading you toward mastery. Your environment, your work, your relationships, all of them are mirrors reflecting your dominant ideas. If you wish to change the reflection, you must change the image producing it. Complaining about circumstances is like arguing with your own reflection in the mirror. It changes nothing until you alter what the mirror is showing. The successful person understands this law and therefore spends their energy mastering their thoughts rather than blaming conditions. They know that every condition is temporary, every setback is a test of perspective, and every limitation can be dissolved by a higher understanding of self. To change circumstances, you must change consciousness. The mind is the builder and thought is the material. What you build within will eventually appear without, if you fill your mind with clarity, persistence, and gratitude. Those qualities will eventually solidify in your life as results. You cannot think in one direction and move in another. Thought and action are forever bound together. When you think high thoughts, you begin to act with higher purpose, and your environment adjusts to that elevation. Circumstances may seem powerful, but they are powerless against a mind that has decided what it will think, believe, and expect. The power that shapes life does not come from what happens to you, but from how you choose to think about it. Whatever you choose to focus on expands and takes form in your life. The mind is like a magnifying glass, amplifying whatever it is directed toward. When your attention is fixed on progress, growth, and improvement, you begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You start taking small actions that align with your goals, and over time those small actions accumulate into powerful momentum. But when your attention is consumed by fear, failure, and negativity, your energy drains away, and those very thoughts begin to grow stronger. The law of focus is absolute. What you consistently dwell upon determines the direction and quality of your life. Every achievement begins with sustained mental focus. The people who accomplish great things are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate, but they possess the ability to concentrate their thoughts and energy on a single vision until it becomes real. They refuse to scatter their attention on distractions or doubts. Instead, they discipline their minds to remain fixed on the desired outcome, even when results are slow to appear. Each time the mind wanders toward worry or impatience, they bring it back to their goal with determination. This focus creates clarity, and clarity breeds confidence. Confidence then leads to decisive action, and decisive action brings results that multiply with time. The average person, however, allows their mind to drift aimlessly. They think about what they fear, what they lack, and what might go wrong. They feed their attention to problems instead of possibilities. Every moment spent thinking about what is unwanted is energy withdrawn from what could be achieved. The mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at once. One will always dominate. So if the dominant thought is worry, the energy of creation is blocked. But if the dominant thought is faith, the energy of creation flows freely. What you focus on, you energize. To direct your focus effectively, you must first decide clearly what you want. A vague goal produces vague results. The mind cannot hit a target it cannot see. Once you define your vision with precision, hold it firmly in your awareness every day. Picture it, speak of it, act as if it is already unfolding. The more consistently you keep your attention on that vision, the more your subconscious mind begins to work in harmony with it. You start to attract people, ideas, and circumstances that align with your focus, often in unexpected ways. This is not coincidence. It is the natural response of a focused mind interacting with a responsive world. The difference between success and stagnation often comes down to the ability to sustain attention. Focus is the bridge between thought and achievement. When you lose focus, you lose power. When you maintain focus, you build momentum. It is through repetition and consistency that your ideas gain strength and move from imagination into form. Even the most difficult challenges can be overcome by concentrated effort applied steadily over time. A single beam of light, when focused, can cut through steel. A single mind, when focused, can transform an entire life. To master focus, you must also master distraction. The world constantly pulls your attention in 1,000 directions, offering endless reasons to divide your energy. But every time you give in to distraction, you delay your progress. The disciplined mind learns to say no to what does not serve its purpose. It chooses its thoughts the way an artist chooses colors, carefully, deliberately, and with intention. By directing your focus toward what you wish to create, you begin to align your entire being, your emotions, your habits, and your decisions with that single aim. And when thought, emotion, and action move in the same direction, achievement becomes inevitable. Everything that happens in your life begins in the mind. The way you think sets the course for every experience, every success, and every obstacle you encounter. Your thoughts are the invisible builders of your destiny, shaping every decision, action, and result that follows. When you look around at your circumstances, you are looking at the physical reflection of what has been going on within you for years. Every belief, every attitude, every assumption about what is possible or impossible has contributed to the reality you now live in. The mind is not a passive instrument. It is an active force that responds to the nature of your thinking, and it works continuously, whether you guide it consciously or not. If your thoughts are filled with ideas of growth, abundance, and possibility, your life will begin to move in that direction. You will start to notice new paths, new people, and new opportunities that seem to appear as if by chance. But there is no chance about it. Your mind is simply aligning you with what you have been thinking about most consistently. Likewise, if your thoughts are focused on fear, limitation, or failure, your life will reflect that as well. You will overlook potential, talk yourself out of progress, and build barriers in places where none truly exist. The law of the mind is impartial. It will create whatever you allow it to dwell upon, good or bad, strong or weak, success or defeat. Most people live their entire lives without realizing this truth. They think their outer world determines their inner state, but it is the other way around. They believe their circumstances control their happiness, not understanding that their thoughts create the circumstances in the first place. The person who thinks of themselves as capable and deserving naturally behaves in a way that attracts better conditions. They make decisions with confidence, pursue goals with purpose, and remain steady when faced with obstacles. The person who thinks of themselves as unlucky or powerless, on the other hand, unconsciously invites situations that confirm that belief. The way you think becomes the script that life follows, and you are both the writer and the actor in your own story. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, whether it be thoughts of success or failure, will grow with time and care. The soil does not choose, it will return whatever you give it. If you sow negativity, the harvest will be frustration and struggle. If you sow optimism and determination, the harvest will be growth and achievement. You cannot plant one type of thought and expect another kind of result. What you see in your life is the direct outcome of the seeds of thought you have been planting over months, years, and decades. The law is constant and it operates without exception. Your thoughts are also magnetic. They attract to you the people, situations, and experiences that correspond to their nature. A mind filled with doubt attracts indecision. A mind filled with faith attracts opportunity. A mind filled with resentment attracts conflict. A mind filled with gratitude attracts harmony. You draw into your life exactly what matches the energy and direction of your dominant thoughts. This is not a mystery. It is the natural rhythm of life responding to the vibration of your inner world. To change the course of your life, begin by observing your thoughts. Notice what occupies your mind most often. Do you dwell on what you lack or on what you can create? Do you replay your mistakes or envision your goals? The mind cannot hold two opposing pictures for long. One must eventually dominate the other. The moment you begin to take control of your thinking, you take control of your destiny. You become the deliberate creator of your experience rather than a passive observer of circumstance. You can reshape the future by reshaping the patterns of thought that govern your present. Each thought carries within it the seed of a future reality, and every moment you spend thinking is an act of creation that determines what that future will be. Success does not arrive by accident. It is the natural outcome of a controlled and disciplined mind. Achievement begins not in the physical world, but in the quiet spaces of thought long before any visible result appears. The difference between those who rise and those who remain ordinary lies in how they think, what they dwell upon, what they believe, and what they expect from life. The mind is the architect of destiny, and when it is properly trained, it becomes a powerful servant that shapes every detail of your existence. When it is left to wander aimlessly, it builds confusion, doubt, and failure. The individual who learns to guide their thoughts learns to guide their life. The path to achievement always starts with mental direction. When your thoughts are scattered, your energy is scattered. When your thoughts are focused and disciplined, your actions become organized and effective. The person who succeeds is not necessarily more intelligent or more gifted, but has learned to think constructively and purposefully. They feed their mind with ideas that strengthen them, with goals that challenge them, and with beliefs that empower them. Every day they remind themselves of who they are becoming. Their inner dialogue supports their growth rather than undermines it. Over time, that consistent inner conditioning produces results that seem extraordinary to others, but are merely the visible outcome of steady mental training. You cannot think defeat and achieve victory. You cannot dwell on lack and experience abundance. The inner world and outer world are always aligned. Whatever picture dominates your mind becomes the pattern your life follows. This is why achievement is first an act of imagination and faith. Before a building is constructed, it exists first as an idea on paper. Before a life of success is built, it exists as an image in the mind. When you hold that image with persistence, the mind begins to align all its powers to bring it into reality. You make decisions that fit the vision. You recognize opportunities that support it, and you reject distractions that don't belong. Achievement, therefore, is not pursued. It is attracted by the kind of person you become through disciplined thought. Those who master this understanding live with a sense of calm determination. They know that everything begins with thought, so they guard their minds with the same care that a gardener guards a prized seedbed. They do not allow weeds of fear or doubt to grow unchecked. Instead, they nourish their minds daily with reading, reflection, gratitude, and intention. This mental cultivation strengthens their confidence and directs their focus. When challenges arise, they do not panic or give up, because their inner world is already prepared. They have built a foundation of thought strong enough to withstand temporary difficulties. Their faith in the power of their own thinking keeps them steady, and that steadiness turns obstacles into stepping stones. Achievement is not the result of luck, talent, or circumstance. It is the consequence of thinking rightly over time. The person who believes in their power to improve will act upon that belief. The one who constantly imagines growth will find ways to create it. The one who pictures a higher version of themselves will begin to move toward it naturally, because thought always precedes motion. Each idea held long enough produces a corresponding action, and each action compounds into a pattern that defines destiny. The mind is the root, and achievement is the fruit. When you change the root, the fruit must change as well. The secret is simple yet profound. Train your mind before you train your hands. Direct your thoughts before you direct your energy. Think as the person you wish to become until those thoughts solidify into habits, and those habits shape the reality you desire. Success is not found in chance or fortune, but in the quiet mastery of one's own thinking.